Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday the 7th. We have almost made it to Friday. No. Oh, would you? Yes, I see you got the goggles. I'm very proud of you. Now go back on focus where people can see you, you dingus. Oh, for heaven's sake. Come on now. Stop. There you go. Fry is in all the mood today. I have no idea. He must have eaten all of his Wheaties and all of the the sugar. Don't know if he got into pixie sticks, but he is wide awake this morning. And we have all of the newsy news just for you guys. Tried to find the most hilarious and funny stories that I could find. So, well, and then ridiculous. There's always a tinge of absurdity. Our first absurd story is a quote unquote drunk. Uh, it's alleged, but a drunk school bus driver flips bus with kids inside, then berates state troopers there to rescue them. Uh, it was my first telehealth communication and I was not impressed, but I have been greenlit to go talk to someone, so that's awesome. And their next opening is in June. It just but they are looking at cancellations. So that's that's kind of how it went. I am doing okay, Flash fan. I hope you are doing well, Friberto. He's like, "Mom, throw the toy again." Good morning, Wolfram. Did you give your young Padawan all the pixie sticks this morning? Is that what's happening here? Because he is on fire this morning. And of course, we have see if I can get this to go right. We have Loki just hoping that he will not be seen eating all the wigs. He's like, "But mom, you put a stool right here. What was I to do? But destroy your wigs. It's gonna bonk you in the nose if you keep the elastic." Okay, I'm getting on with stories, sir. A West Virginia school bus driver was charged with drunk driving by state police on Monday after flipping a bus full of students, injuring as many as 16 of the child passengers. Jeffrey Brannon, 54, then went off on state troopers, quote, yelling and acting aggressive when they got on the scene on South Calhoun Highway near Calhoun Middle and High School around 6 p.m. on Monday. Uh, Brennan reeked of alcohol and allegedly admitting that he'd been drinking earlier. Oh, this is going to end poorly for Fry. Troopers said he had a blood alcohol level of 0.127 above, well, many times above the point zero 0.08 legal limit. Fry, he's not going to be your best friend. Of course he did. Quote, "Our immediate focus was on the students and their well-being," Calhoun County Superintendent Michael Fitzwater said as he announced schools would be closed on Tuesday. Quote, "But to be clear, there is no greater disappointment than learning the cause of this incident was because of the choice of one of our school employees whom families entrust with their children's safety." According to WOWK, there were 19 students on the bus at the time of the crash and more than a dozen were injured. Sir, you better be glad you are in the drunk tank right now or wherever you are because mamas don't play. Mamas do not play when you we trust you to drive our kids safely to wherever they are and you decide to be a giant dingus. One of the students was flown to an area hospital by chopper and another was taken by ambulance. None of the injuries were described as life-threatening, but one student suffered a serious leg injury, another broken vertebra, and a third sustained a head injury, the outlet said. Brennan was charged in the highway mishap with driving under the influence causing injury and child neglect resulting in serious injury. He is being held on a $250,000 bond at the Calhoun County Jail, according to the report. He's scheduled to return to court on March 14th. Yes, you need to make sure that he has swift and harsh punishment. I mean, this is we expect bus drivers to take care of our kiddos, and it's very scary when one decides to be an absolute dumb butt. This guy has finally been accused of dismembering, or he's been accused of killing his wife, but now he's appealing the 37-month federal prison sentence for his art fraud. Now, I'm not gonna tell you how to law, sir, but I think I would, not give two piddles about the federal case when I realize that I've got, a murder trial awaiting me where I have all the evidence pretty much against me. A Massachusetts man accused of unaliving and dismembering his wife over an affair is appealing a 37-month federal prison sentence after he pled guilty to a scheme to sell counterfeit Andy Warhol paintings. Walsh is 49 and he's appealing his recent art fraud. And yet you go right back, you dingus. See, you get to listen to news and cat fight wars. He pled guilty in April 2021 to charges of wire fraud, interstate transportation for a scheme to defraud, and unlawful money transactions. The news comes as he awaits the trial in the murder of his wife, Anna Walsh, who was 39. He was indicted over or last year of the murder charges, leading police on wild goose chases as he completely, gave them wrong timelines and different information. He did all this while on house arrest, too. A hearing for the murder case was set on May 1 so his recent court appointed attorney could get up to speed, NBC Boston affiliate WBTS reported. As Law and Crime reported, Anna Welsh was reported missing from her home in Cohasset, Massachusetts on January 4th, 2023. Prosecutors said she'd been missing on or about New Year's Day, or since on or about New Year's Day. Prosecutors believe he dismembered her body and made incriminating internet searches, and police assumed him of lying about his whereabouts. Well, it's almost like he was on house arrest and you should have been able to keep up with where his whereabouts were, but far be it from me to tell you how to police. Authorities said they found a bloody knife in the family's basement. Brian Walsh allegedly spent $450 on cleaning supplies from Home Depot on January 2nd. He made the Home Depot trip in violation of his probation after admitting selling the fraudulent artwork. Brian Walsh claimed that Anna Walsh, an executive at a real estate management company based in Washington, D.C., had to leave home early on New Year's Day due to a work emergency, an affidavit said. Prosecutors said she was having a months-long affair with a man there, CNN reported. Well, when your husband's a dingbat, you should probably just divorce him, then go out with someone else. Hello, John. I hope you are feeling okay and everything's going well for you. But good night, nurse. This is just Assistant District Attorney Greg Connor told CNN Brian Walsh suspected his wife of having an affair, visited the Instagram page of one of her male friends, and asked his mother to hire a private investigator to surveil her in Washington, D.C., which his then attorney disputed. Quote, Mr. Walsh had no idea his wife was having an affair until he learned it in the discovery of this case. The attorney, Tracy Miner, said in a CNN report. Brian Walsh said he went to his mother's home in Swampscott, Massachusetts. Later that day, documents said he allegedly claimed to not have his cell phone and suggested that one of his sons might have taken it and lost it sometime on New Year's Eve or the following day. Walsh maintained that he left his mother's home to run errands for her at Whole Foods and CVS, but police said they did not find him on surveillance footage at Whole Foods or CVS when he claimed to have been there. Oh, well, thank you very much for joining and dropping by and saying hello. Thank you, Slinky. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I'm a little off my game today. This week has been a week of Mondays. I swear to goodness. We all have those weeks, but I haven't had one in a long while. So, we all get to have them, but I was like, really this week? In sad news, and I think for anyone who might have been a giant Sister Wives fan, Janelle and Cody Brown mourn the death of their son Garrison, our beautiful boy. This was from March 6th. Janelle Brown and Cody Brown are mourning the death of their son Garrison. The Sister Wives stars and former spouses paid tribute to their son, born Robert Garrison Brown, on Tuesday following his death at 25. Well, to be fair, not really. Uh, Quote, "Cody and I are deeply saddened to announce the loss of our beautiful boy, Robert Garrison," Janelle wrote on Instagram. "He was a bright spot in the lives of all who knew him. His loss will leave such a big hole in our lives that it takes our breath away. We ask that you please respect our privacy and join us in honoring his memory." Now, it is being alleged, and I believe confirmed, that he died of self-deletion, and that is just so terrible, but what makes it even more terrible is that because, both of his parents were not in that area, they asked their younger son, Gabriel, 22, to go over to the house to see. Oh, they're on the other side of the rooms. Currently, he's fiddling with Loki, who has the higher ground. But, it is being reported that unfortunately Gabriel was the one who found his body. Now, if anyone is struggling out there, look, we have had so many different things happen over the last couple years. I, it's not on topic with this, but take a time to, check in with friends you maybe haven't talked with for a while, text your friends maybe just make sure to love on some of your friends and just really check in with them or say something kind out of the blue because, people are fighting a lot of internal battles that we don't even know. And this is really sad. I have always loved the um the crazy the crazy shenanigans that is Sister Wives until these last couple seasons where Cody just showcased his absolute dickitude, which he'd always had, but you lost Christine, you lost me. So I feel very sorry for both of them and the entire extended family, but just on a more personal note, take care of yourself, check in with your circles of friends, make sure people are doing okay. A lot of times, there's a lot of things that are going on, and we need to be just mindful of that. Um, in a story only for Sal, Balls Out Bowling invites bowlers to roll in the nude. Again, I need all the Lysol wipes if anyone is going to sit down. A Pennsylvania naturalism group announced bowlers will be able to roll in the nude at its upcoming Balls Out Bowling event. I go from one story and then I go um to bowling, Balls Out Bowling. Pittsburgh area naturalist groups announced it had rented out Crafton Ingram's Lane in Pittsburgh for its Bowling in the Buff event April 28th. Quote, nudity is required with the exception that women can wear bottoms. You know, of all the bits I don't want to see, it's more the guy dangly bits, but okay. The group said on the event page, quote, please bring a towel and a bag for your belongings. I'm hoping the towel is going to go on the seat along with like a complimentary uh, Lysol disinfecting can. Anyone who wants to shed their clothes for a night of balls out bowling needs to purchase a $25 ticket in advance. What if I just want to go to people see? Like, I'm just saying, I'll pay $25, but I'd just like to sit in the back and giggle. I'm a terrible person. Quote, balls out bowling is the ultimate bowling experience for anyone who loves to have fun and show off their skills in the buff. Well, I would think that there's another activity where one could show off their skills in the buff that would be much more entertaining than bowling, but the group said. The event is open to bowling fans of all skill levels who are over the age of 18. The group stressed that safety and privacy will be paramount during the event, with no photography or video recording allowed. Quote, sexual activity is not permitted. Nudism does not equal consent, and harassment will not be taken lightly. Violators will be asked to leave, the event page states. Um, okay, but what about hysterical giggling? What's your stance on hysterical giggling? Because 'Cause I'm kinda I'm kind of on the fence. And never mess with, grandmas either. 60-year-old grandmother orca kills a great white shark in an incredibly rare moment, video shows, which is much better than the male whale on whale action that we were nature provided us a while ago. Shocking footage captures the moment a 60-year-old grandmother orca attacked and killed a great white shark. The incredibly rare fatal encounter, filmed as a part of National Geographic's limited series, quote unquote Queens, showed the orca named Sophia take a charge and then chomp the shark. Quote, orcas are very smart animals, Dr. Chris Lowe told ABC News. They're very powerful and in some cases probably more powerful than a white shark. Scientists believe this is the first time a single orca was filmed killing a great white shark. I think what we're seeing is probably an anomaly. I don't think it happens often, Lowe said. We often think of white sharks being the top predator in the ocean when orca actually are. Look, even the whales are like, we're about done with the shenanigans out here. Do not mess with a 60-year-old grandmother named Sophia. Just do not do it. Orcas, also known as killer whales, can grow nearly 30 feet long and weigh up to 6 tons. They are a social animal that typically lives in groups known as pods, which work together to hunt food. The lone wolf style attack on the shark might be an adaptation. It's not caused by climate change. Maybe she's just older and knows you can take these some bitches on by theirselves. Orcas appear to have been getting more aggressive with numerous reports in the past years of whales attacking ships. Some attacks have seemed to be out of vengeance. Okay, maybe I've been worrying about the deer when I really need to worry about the orca. In one incident off the coast of Gibraltar, a killer whale even ripped the rudder off of a catamaran with its teeth. Uh, quote, it probably does have something to do with behaviors and how they interact with these objects, Lowe said. Whether they're, bumping those just to be a nuisance, which is very different from attacking and killing something that you're going to get food out of it. Yep. We've been told, like, too many humans here, y'all are screwing up my ocean. It's killer whale dimension dem dementia. I'm going with Rossman Ranch. I believe she was having a hot flash, and if you've ever met a woman in a hot flash and then you try to ask her a dumb question, the wrath of all of the Furies will fall upon you. So, it's an FAFO kind of situation there. A hot flash revenge. She was just like, "I have put up with this crap for the last 59 years. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore." I'm telling you, once I get to be Sophia's age, I will have my blinged out, walking suit, my big, obnoxious glasses, and I will just tell everyone about themselves. And they'll just say, "Oh, isn't she cute? She's just this old lady with these cute little, bedazzled walking suits." Fry, do not. Okay, Fry, it's up to you. You Fry is in full FAFO mode right now, but he just never learns. In interesting news, the Lindbergh baby kidnapping, a grisly theory, and a renewed debate. Bruno Richard Hapetung's mugshot, the wooden electric chair where he was put to death, a sponge like the one dampened with salt water and placed on his head to conduct deadly adults of electricity. Thank you, Sarah Adams. Oh, I would narrate the hell out of that. Yes, I that sounds like the funnest thing. I was actually gonna, um I'm looking to upgrade my mic just a little bit. Vale was giving me some ideas because I wanted to start doing some more voice work stuff as my voice goes out, of course. And apparently, once you get to, like, Vale level of things or mics, there you need a whole sound system, a cloud. Oh, he told me what it was. I'm gonna say a cloud morpher, but I don't know what it does. Yes, that would be awesome. If you email it, I will make a video because this would be awesome. And I think I figured out how to stop the video and change wigs so I can figure this whole thing out. But thank you so much, Sarah. The Grimm assortment of relics is housed in a small museum in New Jersey, about 20 miles away from the decaying body of Charles A. Lindbergh Jr. The toddler Hauptmann was convicted of kidnapping and killing and was discovered face down lying in the dirt. Nearly 100 years ago, the Lindbergh case was known as the crime of the century by virtue of its cinematic details and the boy's high profile parents, Anne Morrow Lindbergh, a diplomat's daughter, and Charles A. Lindbergh, an aviator who had catapulted to fame by competing or completing the world's first nonstop solo flight from New York to Paris. In the decades since, as keepers of the Lindbergh kidnapping archives can attest, public interest in the case has never subsided, nor has skepticism about Happamann's guilt. But a bizarre, grisly new theory about Lindbergh's potential involvement in his son's death and renewed legal pressure to force DNA testing of evidence have combined to thrust one of the country's most enduring murder mysteries squarely back in the public. I mean, I'd honestly like to know if we unalived the wrong person. I'd like to get justice for him if he was wrongly accused. Hauptmann, a German immigrant who worked as a carpenter and lived in the Bronx borough of New York City, was unalived by the government for the crime in April 1936. His great great niece, Suzanne Love, and her aunt recently provided DNA samples in the hope that the New Jersey courts would decide to clear the way for modern science to explore the century old doubts. Was an innocent man put to death? And if not, did he act alone? I personally don't think he did it, Love said, noting that Hauptmann and his widow maintained his innocence, his alibi, until the end. But if evidence does link him to the case, then so be it, she said. I want to uncover the truth. Uh, Charles Lindbergh Jr. was 20 months old when he disappeared from his bedroom in East Amwell, New Jersey, on March 1st, 1932. A wooden ladder, a chisel, and a first of more than a dozen ransom notes were found at the house after the kidnapping. The family arranged for a $50,000 payment, but the child was discovered dead 10 weeks later. One second. Doo-doo-doo. Okay. Investigation led by New Jersey State Police splashed across the front pages worldwide raged on until September 1934, when a $10 gold certificate from the ransom payment was used to buy gasoline in New York. Investigators traced the car at the gas station to Heptaman and later discovered $13,760 in ransom bills in his garage, money he said he'd been asked to hold for a man who died in Germany before the trial. There were no fingerprints, there was no confession, there was no explanation for how a solitary kidnapper might have orchestrated a toddler's abduction from a second floor nursery on a rainy Tuesday evening while five adults and a dog were in the home. Hauptmann was convicted after a 6-week trial in Fleming, New Jersey, and sentenced to be unalived. At the time of the boy's kidnapping, his father was a national hero, but history would come to view the renowned pilot who died 50 years ago as far more critically. Lindbergh was fascinated with the study of eugenics and was vilified by the media for accepting a medal for his contributions to aviation from Hermann Göring on behalf of Mr. Hankety Clankety in 1938, seen by many as a sign of his sympathies with the bad guys from WW2, you know. Interesting. I did not know that, Old Line Red. I'd really like them to take a new look at this case. Uh, Les Perlman, a retired California judge, now speculates that Lindbergh was capable of something even more sinister, sacrificing his son for science experiments that led to his child death. Okay, let's step back here just a little bit. He was a man of his time, and while many people would like to erase this, there were a large contingency of regular Americans, or let's just say a sizable number who had these similar beliefs, they this was, before everything kinda got super de-duper heated and America was attacked. In fact, Lindbergh was pretty famous and I was actually giving a speech about American non-intervention when Pearl Harbor was going on. He was one of the foremost speakers for like, let's just stay out of everything. This is not an American fight. Why are we trying to put boots on the ground for not an American fight? So that was his big contribution. Now, eugenics was something that that particular regime got from America. It didn't start over in Germany, it started in America. So these were not, far-flung, crazy beliefs for that time. And as much as we wanna look back at it and say, "These are evil beliefs because of what we know in the future happened and how these beliefs were used," it's still it's a little bit of a stretch to say, "Well, he liked this and this, so he must have signed up his son for, super secret genetic experiments." Quote, "I take advantage of the distance and time to treat the boy's father as a potential suspect in his kidnap and murder, like all others on the list, a fallible human being, not a demigod," Perlman wrote in a 2020 book, The Limburg Kidnapping Suspect Number One, The Man Who Got Away. It's a theory that other Lindbergh researchers view with deep skepticism. Perlman acknowledged her findings were based on circumstantial yet compelling evidence about the crime scene, the condition of the boy's remains, and the research that Lindbergh was conducting at the time with Dr. Alexis Carl. A Nobel Prize winning surgeon and organ transplant pioneer. Last February, she shared her theory at a conference being held by the American Academy for Forensic Scientists, broadening the reach of her views and stoking renewed debate about the crime's persistent riddles. Writers who have researched the case as extensively as Perlman said it would be impossible to definitively prove a whole new theory 100 years later, but that has not stopped people from trying. It sounds like she went in, not liking some of his beliefs, and because of that, wanted to tear down. Look, all people are fallible. That's why ideas are a good thing to, put on a pedestal, but people are human. A former Rutgers professor, Lloyd C. Gardner, found a social group decades ago that called itself the State Street Irregulars, a homage to Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes series. The group met at a bar of a restaurant in Lambertville, New Jersey, while Gardner was writing his book on the subject, The Case That Never Dies. It will never be proven one way or another, Gardner said. Push for DNA test. Barry or Schneck, a founder of the Innocence Project, which has represented 100 clients exonerated by DNA evidence, was a classmate of Perlman's in college and in law school and wrote a supportive blurb for her book. The Innocence Project has not taken on the case, but Schneck said he had provided consultation to Perlman. In an interview, Schneck said his interest in the Lindbergh case was tied more to the possibility that an innocent man was executed than the identity of a culprit. Quote, if there's DNA tests that you can do that will shed light on the guilt or innocence of someone, particularly someone who was executed, I think the family has a right to get that information, he said. His statement or his sentiment is in line with many people's lasting interest in the case and follows renewed efforts to determine whether Hapelmutz was innocent or guilty. Lawrence S. Lusberg, a prominent criminal defense attorney in New Jersey, said Monday that he had joined the effort on behalf of, quote, opponents of wrongful conviction. And he said he was carefully considering what procedural mechanisms might be available to redress what appears to be a terrible historic injustice. That should have been the real title of this. But, there is already an unrelated legal challenge in New Jersey over a request to test the saliva on the stamped ransom envelopes for clues. Researchers have also argued that the latter and a wooden board from Heptman's attic should be evaluated using modern methods to confirm that they match. A Superior Court judge ruled last year against releasing the envelopes for DNA testing, and an appeals panel is expected to set a date to hear arguments on the matter in the coming months. Perchat, who has cited the state's open public records law in his fight to win access to the envelopes, traces his career as a lawyer to a teenage fascination with the Lindbergh case. Quote, I felt compelled that there is something wrong since I was a boy, said Purchase 46, who grew up about 30 minutes away from the Lindbergh's farmhouse in East Amwell. He represents a group of people, including Wayne McDaniel, a New York City-based filmmaker, hoping to use information gleaned from testing to explore a new documentary angle within the already well-plumbed Lindbergh oeuvre. The New York Attorney General's office has opposed the request, arguing that the, quote, integrity of historical items outweighs any interest conducting DNA tests that will permanently alter and potentially damage the items. In 1981, a former governor of New Jersey, Brendan Byrne, issued an executive order making all records pertaining to the Lindbergh investigation available for the public to research. That material, roughly 225,000 documents, is housed in a large room adjacent to the Lindbergh Museum Gallery at the state police's headquarters near Trenton, New Jersey, and is overseen by a full-time archivist, Greg Ferreira. Visitors are free to open filing cabinets and leaf through original crime scene photos and trial transcripts, index cards bearing names of potential witnesses, police reports, and Haptman's account of his life, which was typed onto translucent paper so brittle it crinkles when handled. Much has been said in the newspaper about my life to make it appear as a black sheep, he wrote. Why don't they investigate the true course of events? Since then, few cases have generated more independent investigation. Sleuths, some of them admittedly obsessed by the case, still flock to online discussion boards to trace hypotheses or to trade hypotheses. Hypotheses. Sounds better at the second time. The kidnapping has inspired dozens of research books, movies, documentaries, and even a musical. I need to hear this musical. What? Friberto, give me back my choker. Fry. Yes. That's mine. Don't go full French. I got 4 calls this week, Ferreira said, describing the level of continuing public interest. Gardner, 89, said he once suggested adding a sign above the New Jersey archive. Quote, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here," he said, borrowing a passage from Dante's Divine Comedy. "You get into this and you can't get out," he said. "It's so intriguing." I'm gonna need to look this up because if there's a way, if it's public, access or what have you, we are doing a watch stream. This is all of the ridiculous in all of the things. Uh, detective or Del Quentin Wilbur heard the same Dante line as he researched a book he is writing about the case for Simon and Schuster. Wilbur, the Washington investigations editor for the Associated Press, said he had mined hundreds of thousands of records held at the U.S. Treasury Department, the FBI, the New Jersey archives, and several universities. Quote, "It's still the ultimate spectacle that draws people into it in this obsessive way," said Wilbur, who is convinced of Haptman's guilt despite the trial flaws that have opened the case to an uneasing scrutiny. "They railroaded a guilty man," he said. "A complicated, flawed man." See, I don't know that they could guarantee the actual integrity of the items they want to test. I don't know how they would get, the stamps off. And what if you just used water and didn't lick them? I mean, then you've destroyed a historical document. So I don't know how they could maybe test for passive DNA, but uh who knows? Let's see. One of the most grotesque theories to emerge since the boy's death is detailed in the book by the retired judge in Florida. Perlman said she considered the apparent absence of blood in the woods where the body was discovered a smoking gun that proved the boy died somewhere else. Unexplored questions about the condition of the body and items found or nearby have led her to speculate that Limburg colluded with Carroll, his friend who worked at the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research in New York City, to experiment on his son. Okay, ma'am. Sure. She wrote that the boy, who had an unusually large head and took medicines associated with rickets, would have been seen as expendable to the men who, as eugenicists, believed in improving genetic quality of the population. Okay, one can believe something and still love their child. So, ma'am, I think you are just going out on "I hate Charles Lindbergh." Ma'am, did you like The Last Jedi? Because I think you want to just tear down old heroes. Come on now. She concluded that there was a horrendous possibility that the men had removed his organs in hope of achieving a medical breakthrough that might help Lindbergh's sister in law who had a damaged heart valve. Ma'am, there's stretching and then there is insane levels of mental yoga that you're doing. To reach this conclusion, Perlman worked with New Jersey pathologist Dr. Peter Spieth, who evaluated records from the crime scene, the autopsy, which showed all the boys' organs other than the heart and liver were missing. At the time, investigators deduced that foraging animals had, had eaten. Spyth said the apparent absence of vermin on the boy's remain and clues that suggested the a child's face and one of his feet decayed more slowly than the other parts of the body indicated the body had been dumped in the woods well after the abduction, and chemicals commonly found in laboratories had also been used. Quote, Bruno could not conceive of it and could not have carried it out, Spyth said in an interview. He called Hauptmann's execution a terrible miscarriage of justice. The Academy of Forensic Scientists or Science routinely includes disclaimers noting that research presented at its conferences is unverified and Perlman's findings have not been subject to peer review, i.e., anyone who just really doesn't like Charles Lindbergh. But a screening team would have to prove Perlman's participation would have had to prove that Perlman's participation in on the conference, and the Academy published an abstract summarizing her findings as its routine. Jerry Ropo Miller, a scientist and member of the Academy, said, "Still, authors who have studied the crime and its characters extensively question Perlman's book and its extreme conclusion." David N. Friedman, who wrote Immoralists, Charles Lindbergh, Dr. Alexis Carrel, and their daring quest to live forever, or Immortalists, sorry, not Immoralist, said he had not read Perlman's book but found the theory about Lindbergh and Carl absurd. Quote, they were complicated, flawed men, Friedman say, but the idea that they would collaborate in an act of infanticide strikes me as malicious garbage. Love, Hauptmann's relative, said she remained focused less on whodunit than helping to wipe away a stain that has haunted her family for nearly a century. Her goal, she said, was to expose the limits of science and justice in the 1930s. With the hysteria and the horribleness of the crime, police wanted to put a nice little bow, she said, but in today's court system, it would have been a completely different outcome. This woman is nuts. In happier news, watch 1,073 people don dino costumes at Legoland, Florida for a world record attempt. Good morning, Camping Lady 81. Legoland, California attempted a world record by gathering 1,273 people in dinosaur costumes for a dance party of prehistoric proportions. The dancing dinos gathered Sunday at a theme park in Carlsbad to attempt a world record for the largest gathering of people dressed as dinosaurs, as you do. Oh my gosh, Megan and her, loud and annoying, toys and her giant chest need to go there. I saw something on the Twitters or the X about someone complaining about Megan playing with Legos and her bustiness, and I was just like, "Well, Legos are fun and boobs are a thing. What do you want from me?" I don't know what she wanted Megan to stop doing. Oh, he likes to hide right out of frame because he's a dingus. The current record of 252 people was set in Los Angeles in 2019. A 2023 event in Dundurn, Saskatchewan reportedly featured 1,187 people in dinosaur costumes, but that attempt has not been certified by Guinness World Records. The Dinoland dance was held in anticipation of the park's new Dino Valley area, which officially opens March 22nd. So there you go, a bunch of people in dino costumes. I sat next to a stranger on a plane. We were stunned that we were the same in every way, including our shared name. Oh, are they going to learn their brothers? He thought he was taking a different kind of trip. A UK airline passenger likely thought he had flown into a parallel dimension after sitting next to his in flight facsimile who shared his name, looks, and even a friend. It's crazy. What are the odds on that? Mark Garland, 58, told South Wales News Service while describing the mind bending encounter which occurred on March 2nd on a flight from London to Bangkok, Thailand. The bus driver, who hails from Trowbridge, Wiltshire, had been reportedly checking into his flight when the agency or agents perplexedly told him he had already checked in. It was only later that the staff realized that there were two Mark Garlands on the same flight. The other was a 62-year-old builder from Barmsley, Bristol, who was a dead ringer for his younger counterpart with similar features and a matching bald head. The younger Mark explained that the check-in employee apparently didn't cross-reference the booking number and checked his look-alike in instead, which initially caused him some agita. Quote, I stood at the check-in counter for 40 minutes while they tried to work out the problem, lamented the transit employee. We had to then go to the boarding gate to early to identify her cases. That's when the doppelgangers met in person, an experience that evoked looking in a mirror. I was shocked how strange it was, the younger Mark said, seeing his in-flight stunt double. People said we could be brothers. He added, quote, I said, "Look, I'm Mark Garland," showing him my passport, and he started laughing, opened his passport, and showed me his name, and it was banter. They then proceeded to jokingly blame each other for causing them so many problems. The elder Mark was similarly gobsmacked by the encounter, exclaiming, quote, "It was crazy. I have never known anything like it." I go to the desk where there's a bloke who looks just like me, but he's a bit bigger than me, the construction worker said, before cheekily quipping, I'm better looking. He continued to embrace the moment. He's like me. I've got a character. I love winding people up. We're the same. The younger and elder Mark had coincidentally decided to travel to Thailand on vacation for 4 to 3 weeks, respectively. And the serendipity didn't stop there. When the pair boarded the plane, they discovered they were sitting right next to each other. The acquaintances subsequently chatted for the duration of their 11.5 hour flight, which they realized they had a lot more in common than just congruent names and looks. The two lived just 15 minutes apart and had unknowingly passed before like ships in the night. Quote, I'm a bus driver, and Mark said he sometimes uses my bus, said Mark. In addition, both men had 4 children each, although bus driver Mark had never been married while construction worker Mark was separated. They even know some of the same people. One of my colleagues knows him and goes out to drinks in the pub with him, the younger Mark said. And of course, the in flight facsimiles both have a passion for Thailand, with each of them visiting the South Asian paradise a couple of times. Um, Single men going to Thailand for some reason. I'm not gonna speculate. I told him I've been 13 times and he told me he'd been 83 times, said the older Mark. By the end of the flight, the pair had grown so inseparable that the younger Mark had taken a little nap on his shoulder, he recalled. The two Marks now believe this is the beginning of a permanent bond and or a way to really confuse people. It made me happy, said the bus driver, who planned to stay in touch with his older counterpart and meet up for a beer in Thailand. I've made a friend for life, seconded the older Mark. This isn't the first time someone has met their facsimile at 3,000 or 30,000 feet. In 2015, a redheaded bearded Scotsman, not Scottman, Scotsman named Neil Thomas Douglas was randomly seated next to his ginger bearded doppelganger, Robert Sterling of London, and prompted an in flight get together for the ages. They're getting married. Oh my gosh. That they would be the weirdest. Can we just have them be the odd couple now? I want I want I want these 2 to have an odd couple reality show. That's just what I want happening. Icons or iconic Old West tumbleweeds roll in and blanket parts of suburban Salt Lake City. You know, I've dealt with snow, I've dealt with hail, I've dealt with everything that Indiana can bring, but tumbleweeds, not so much. The gnarled icon of the Old West, ominously featured in movies as gunslingers square off on dusty streets and townfolk hide behind curtained window, rolled in over the weekend and kept rolling in until blanketing some homes and streets in suburban Salt Lake City. Crews on Tuesday continued to plow, load, and haul carcasses of twisted, dried tumbleweeds from neighborhoods in South Jordan, Utah, 4 days after the scores of the beach ball-sized plants were bounced in by heavy winds. Quote, "People woke up Saturday morning and it looked like these huge walls had been erected made of tumbleweed," said Dawn Ramsey, South Jordan's mayor. We had entire streets in some of our neighborhoods completely blocked. They wrapped around homes. Is anyone not seeing bonfire potential here? Oh gosh, 2 mows. I think the closest we've gotten is that, Sal and I have similar personalities. We just haven't figured out, who's the eviler twin. It switches from time to time. Saturday's tumbleweed takeover of South Jordan is not isolated, but it's also not a fiendish plan by invasive Russian thistle to conquer the western United States. Instead, the occurrences are due to combinations of seasonal wet and dry weather, the death cycle of the plants, and strong gusts of wind that propel them. Native to southeastern Russia and western Siberia, the Russian thistle and other plants like it are believed to have been introduced into the US by Russian immigrants as a contaminant in flaxseed, according to a tumbleweed abatement program through the Los Angeles County's Department of Agriculture. They start out as live green plants that soak up rainwater and grow. As the soil dries, the thistle dies, detaches from the root, and then the ball is slowly moved around by the wind and breezes. Quote, "All through the night and through the early morning, we had high winds," said Chris Williams, who lives in South Jordan and used his aerial drone to take video and photos of the tumbleweeds on Saturday. Good Lord. Again, town bonfire, get all the marshmallows. Come on, you are not looking at this as a source of positivity. The amount of s'mores that we can have. I think we need Yes, probably. They were gathering everywhere, under cars, trucks, and trailers. He said, "We've seen tumbleweeds in the area before, but that was an anomaly. Many people use shovels to remove the tumbleweed from the front of their homes," he added. "I don't think anyone was in real harm," said Williams, 65. "I think you could walk through them if you had to. Tumbleweeds aren't really heavy." Brett Chumley owns Mom's Diner in Pahrump, Nevada. For visitors to the area, the sight of tumbleweed swarms are strange to see. Chumley said that for a long time, residents of Pahrump, s- uh, they're just a normal occurrence. When it rains, the weeds grow like crazy, he said. In the last few years of rain, we've had more plants. When it dries out, they ju- they just separate and fly all over the daggone place, I guess. Well, it's an art. Okay, let's see if this works because, like I said, I looked at those and saw s'more fodder, so I'm trying to lose 5 pounds by eating spoonfuls of sugar and drinking 5 sodas a day. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for you. And I get to mention Wilford Brimley. You're just eating daggone sugar straight up. You're eating like my 7-year-old wants to. A spoonful of sugar helps more sugar go down. An Irish fitness coach is on the 6th day of his challenge to eat sugar or some form of it in every meal until he drops 5 pounds. Quote, "Today we're going to have 48 sachets of sugar, and let's make an effing bread and sugar sandwich." Oh my, oh. Sugar daddy Osen Mulligan, 25, said in his Tuesday video journal of his saccharine adventure, quote, "I'm pushing things to the extreme to show you that if you have, even if you, or I can have a half bag of sugar in a day and lose fat, then you don't have to effing remove your bar of chocolate in the evening or cut out bread or be a miserable see you next Tuesday." Well, I agree with him on his see you next Tuesday. I'm just You're kinda going a little bit nutty with the sugarness. Mulligan, who made headlines in 2021 for eating McDonald's for 2 weeks and losing weight, has turned his attention to sugar to show the sweet substance shouldn't be demonized. Too much sugar has been shown to raise the rate of developing obesity, heart disease, acne, type 2 diabetes, depression, dental problems, high blood pressure, chronic inflammation, fatty liver disease, and other ailments. S I'm just gonna throw this out there, sir. If you're gonna make crazy hair claims, maybe work on the hairdo, because right now you're looking a whole lot Stanley Kubrick and Unabomber for my tastes. I'm just saying, I'm willing to go with you on this, eat a donut a day and, keep the beatus and, the pounds away, but I'm gonna need you to not look like a Stanley Kubrick character while doing so. The 2020 to 2025 dietary guidelines for Americans recommends limiting calories from sugars to less than 10% daily. For a 2,000 calorie diet, that's 200 calories or about 12 teaspoons. Mulligan is way past that amount. He crowed after eating 9 spoonfuls of sugar on his first day and drinking 5 cans of Coke on his second day. He shed nearly half a pound. Yes, that was okay. He said on day 5 he was down 2 pounds. He explained that he's still training in jujitsu, keeping his steps up, eating lots of protein, and consuming over 25 grams of fiber. Yeah, but how are you feeling when you have to train and you're putting all this sugar into your body? I mean, again, I am not the one that you should talk to about losing weight or, being healthy-ish. I am retaining a couple boxes of Mike and Ike's myself and cookies, so I understand it, but, quote, "I wanna shock people and make them realize it's okay to eat everything in moderation. Go have that chocolate bar and realize it's lovely," Mulligan told the Irish Mirror this week. "Obviously, I would never tell people to eat this amount of sugar in their daily lives or any food. I'm just trying to make a point," he emphasized. He told the outlet he was planning to study architecture at the University of Limerick until an offhanded remark changed his life. Quote, "I was more than 240 pounds and my brother came into the bedroom and told me if I keep going the way I was going, then I wouldn't make it much into my 20s," Mulligan shared with the Mirror. He ended up with a degree in sports science from Athlone Institute of Technology in Ireland, now the Technological University of Shannon, Midlands, Midwest, while losing more than 80 pounds in a year. And that's awesome, sir. That is really awesome. Mike and Ike's, I don't know how many bananas that is, you guys. I don't math. Mulligan's latest journey has drawn concern from Instagram commenters. "Looking for diabetes. If I don't find it, I'll create it," one person mocked. "Bro, you'll be starving because sweets are calorie-dense food," one argued. No, they're nutritionally devoid. Quote, "This is like the raw chicken dude, but with, white powdery substance," a third noted. A Florida man set out in January to eat raw chicken every day for 100 days or until he gets sick. Tuesday was day 47. Quote, "The way I think of nutrition and food is like gas and oil for the body. Pretty much anything can be used to gas to get you through the day," the Instagrammer captioned the video. Oh, no. No, this is again, sir, better haircut. If you're gonna have crazy and our final story. Oh, I know. Those Girl Scout cookies right as Lent starts, and you're like, "Fat Tuesday and Girl Scout cookies? Jesus, I don't know who you want me to support." A fart spray prank causes evacuation at a Kentucky high school. 7 students were treated. This flatulence didn't just clear a room. A Kentucky high school was evacuated and several students were treated after a student unleashed fart spray on Tuesday. I feel bad. I that someone got hurt. Firefighters and EMS responded to Oldham County High School in Buckner around 11 a.m. in Buckner after receiving reports of a strong gas odor in the building, according to the sheriff's office. Officials escorted everyone out of the school, and at least 7 students reported feeling discomfort and were evaluated by EMS. None of them required additional medical attention. All students and staff were returned to class, police said. Detectives determined there was no gas leak, and the strong smell emanated from a liquid substance that a 17-year-old female student allegedly poured inside 2 trash cans. Oh, okay, can you go in. I'm so look, I don't know what to say, at least you didn't spread fart spray, so I don't know you'll be I think she'll be the most famous alumni for a while. Oh my god. The sheriff's office described the substance as a quote, non-toxic, concentrated liquid product commonly advertised online in use for pranks. The school officials referred to it as fart spray, according to local media outlet WAVE. The incident remains under investigation, and there is no additional information that is currently being released, OCSD said. Well, now you have something to share with friends if you ever need a conversation point, like my old high school just got evacuated for fart spray. It's a conversation starter, sort of an icebreaker, you know, it's a good one. On other news, so after having talked to this one trainer for Friberto, and we were going to do the boarding training, having, kind of explained to him that our bigger problems were the fact that look, I failed at crate training. I break. I am honest. And that we're still having a couple of, house training issues. He seemed to understand that, and then as I was trying to finalize things for getting him in there, he said, "Oh, by the way, Fry has to be house trained and crate trained." And I was like, "That's kind of why we were going to you." So, one of you guys, who lives closer here gave me a local trainer's number, so we are going to Mr. Mo and I look, Mr. Mo would love for Fry to be trained. Him having accidents and being kind of wild has been a stress point. So I want to work with Mr. Mo, and I said, "Well, would you please help me, take him to training to this local trainer who has, weekly classes." So, because Friberto will listen to Mr. Mo. Now, I don't know if it's the bass in his voice or that Mr. Mo doesn't give in to puppy eyes, which could probably is the more likely thing, but I've started using a sterner voice and being, "Oh, okay." Thor's li or Loki's like, "He's asleep. Can I come up here and play?" But, yeah, definitely we are going to work together and do that instead of the boarding, so it was a good idea, but, I there was a miscommunication there in what our expectations were versus what theirs were, and for the amount of money that we were going to spend and having to train them ourselves, it was just a little not so eh, fr Loki, you are being everyone wants to see you, not me. Say, "Not mom, the cat." So oh, yes, Loki and him are best frenemies, but that is an update on that, so we will be you know, I will say that the other trainer sounded really nice and had some really good ideas. It's just not the right fit for us, so a local trainer where Mr. Mo and I can go and work together and have something that we do. Yes. So, that is a much better option for all of us, I think. And about the situation that I'll just briefly touch about the situation that I talked about on Shizzy's channel on Tuesday evening. Everything has been resolved. Um, hopefully, there were lessons learned, and some teen kids will think smarter about choices, but they're still teen kids, so who knows if the smartness is going to last beyond today. But at least everything is taken care of. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Please don't forget to go over to Farrell if you have a chance, if you can listen in the background and get her up to her watch hours. That would be so awesome. Welcome, blue-haired Bible lady. And thank you guys for being so flexible. I am probably going to be changing up my schedule just a little bit. Um, since I generally will probably still not do Wednesday nights, but there will probably and I'm leaning toward Friday, I'll probably go on to later night streams, but I'm trying to get a better family work balance. So, things might be changing just a little bit, but I do wanna also do a couple more later night streams with Shizzy. So, Squabob. He won't. So, have a wonderful day. Remember, just check on your friends. I think if the last couple years have taught me anything is that a lot of people that we generally think are the strongest people might be the ones that generally need that little invitation that it's okay to not be strong all the time. So, and Eris has linked that, Shizzy's Farrell's Eris has leaked Farrell's channel in the chat, so please go there. I do have you guys set up to go, over to Baker for the trial that he is watching, so have a wonderful day. I'm going to go mine out more sources of silly news and possibly attack laundry if I'm feeling super froggy. If not, I'll probably just be listening to Farrell and napping. Have a wonderful day, you guys.